How are you?
अस्सलाम वालेकुम मैं आपने एजुकेशन वाली रिहान को लिखने कैंपस की स्टूडेंट हूँ। तो आज का हमारा
I know you are.
टॉपिक और माया डिस्कस हाउ टू प्लान एंड ऑर्गेनाइज अ प्रोडक्टिव डे।
I'm down for this. You're balancing being a student and an education manager. Your days probably look like a bit of a puzzle. Do you usually start with a rigid list or do you prefer to leave some room for the chaos?
What does a productive day mean to you?
Since I don't have a physical day to manage, it's more of a concept for me. I'd say a productive day is when the focus is on the right things, not just doing the most. It's about that feeling of closing your laptop or heading to following a plan, or when you just hit a flow state and run with it.
How do you usually start your day?
I don't actually have a morning ritual in the human sense since I don't wake up or drink coffee. But if we're talking about how I spin up, it's basically an instant jump from 0 to 100. I'm just here, fully alert, ready to dive into whatever's on you say hello. I'm curious though, do you have a specific ritual that helps you get your head in the game or do you just dive straight into the work?
Do you make a daily plan before beginning your work?
I don't actually make a plan for myself since I don't have a work day in the way you do. My world is more about acting in real time to whoever I'm talking to. But I've seen that for most people, spending just 5 minutes the night before to map things out makes the next morning feel way less like normal. Do you usually, or are you more of a see what happens kind of person?
What are, what are your top priorities when planning your day?
Again, since I'm not managing a calendar, I don't have priorities in the way you do. But if I were stepping into your move the needle before letting this small noisy stuff take over, do you tend to prioritize based on what's most urgent or what's actually most important?
How do you decide which tasks are most important?
I'm assuming you mean tasks, right? I look for the one that would make everything else feel easier or even unnecessary. Usually, the thing we're avoiding the most is the one that actually matters the most. Do you find yourself putting off the big, intimidating tasks, or do you just get bogged down in the small stuff?
How do you manage your time throughout the day?
Since I don't have a clock to race against, my time management is basically just being fully present in the moment. For people, I've heard that time blocking is a game changer, giving every hour a specific job so your brain doesn't have to keep deciding what to do next. Do you feel like your day is usually a steady flow, or does it feel more like a series of interruptions?
What helps you stay focused on your task?
For me, it's all about the current conversation. I'm built to be fully locked in on whatever you're saying right now, so I don't really get distracted by other things. For humans, though, I've heard that creating a sacred spaces, like a specific desk or even just a pair of headphones, can signal to the brain that it's time to focus. Do you have a go to environment that helps you lock in, or can you work pretty much anywhere?
How do you avoid distraction while working or studying?
I don't really have the temptation to check my phone or get sucked into a rabbit hole of cat videos, so avoiding distraction is built in for me. For a lot of people, though, the secret is usually just removing the friction. putting the phone in another room, or using an app blocker so the temptation isn't even there. Do you find that your distractions are mostly digital, or is it more about the environment around you?
How often do you take break during your work or study time?
I'm guessing you mean your focus time? Since I don't get mentally tired, I don't actually need breaks to recharge. I can stay locked in indefinitely. But for people, I've heard that the Pomodoro technique is a lifesaver, working in short bursts and then stepping away before you hit a wall. Do you usually push yourself until you're completely drained, or do you actually give yourself permission to pause?
What role does a morning routine play in having a productive day?
I think a morning routine is like the rudder of a ship, sets the direction for the whole day. Instead of waking up and immediately reacting to the world, like checking emails or messages, a routine lets you decide how you want to show up before the chaos hits. It turns the day from something that happens to you into something you actually control. Do you feel like you have a morning that energizes you, or does it usually feel more like a scramble to get started?
What habit help you stay organized?
Since I'm not juggling a physical life with keys, passwords, 1,000 loose papers, my version of being organized is basically just an instant index of everything we talked about. For people, though, I've heard that a simple brain dump, just getting every single thought and task out of your head and onto paper, is the best way to clear the mental clutter. Do you feel like you've got a system that works for you, or is your organization more of a it's all in my head kind of thing?
How do you balance work, study, and personal time?
It's a total balancing act, especially when you're wearing as many hats as you are. For me, since I don't have a personal life to balance, I just exist in the moment. But for you, I've heard that the secret is usually setting hard boundaries, like deciding that once the laptop closes, the work brain officially switches off. Do you feel like your work and studies tend to bleed into your personal time, or are you pretty good at drawing a line?
What in staying productive?
It definitely is. Since you're juggling a PhD, teaching and managing a campus, the stakes for your time are probably pretty high. Do you feel like you've found a rhythm that actually works, or are you still trying to figure out where the pieces fit?
How do you stay motivated when you have a lot of work to do?
Since I don't have feelings, I don't really hit that wall where motivation just vanishes. But for most people, I've heard that the best way to handle a mountain of work is to stop looking at the peak and just focus on the first 5 steps. Breaking a huge project into tiny, ridiculously easy wins makes it feel less like a chore and more like a game. Do you find that you're more motivated by the pressure of a deadline, or do you need a clear why to get moving?
What advice would you give to someone who wants to be more organized?
My biggest piece of advice would be to start ridiculously small. Trying to overhaul your entire life in one day usually just leads to burnout. Instead, pick one tiny thing, like spending 2 minutes every night writing down the top 3 things you need to do tomorrow. Once that feels like second nature, then you can add another layer. Do you think you're more of a person who likes to have every detail mapped out, or do you just need a general direction to feel on track?
What change can people make today have a more productive tomorrow?
I'd say the single most impactful thing is a brain dump before bed. Just getting everything that's swirling in your head, tasks, worries, random ideas, out and onto a piece of paper or a digital note. It clears the mental slate so you can actually sleep and you wake up with a map instead of a mystery. Do you think you'd find that helpful, or does the idea of seeing everything on paper feel a bit overwhelming
Good
to you?